All right, ladies, welcome to this episode of the Joyful Scaling Podcast. If you are ready for an innovative, cutting edge, highly personalized approach to your health and to performance, be it in corporate or in your business, today's guest would love to help you thrive. Meet Dr. Laura DeCesaris. She's a functional medicine health and nutrition consultant. She is really a health strategist. She's a doctor for high achieving women and female entrepreneurs, and she helps you perform at peak levels. Okay, who doesn't need that? We all do. So listen, if you're like me and you don't prioritize your health, this is for you. Okay, because what Laura does really well is she provides her clients a personalized blueprint to be the best you. So let's say hey to Laura. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Yes, let me tell you something. I am really not good when it comes to taking care of me. Like I've always been a doer, and I'm a lot less doing, I'm a lot more being than in the past. But at the age of 56, I see how not prioritizing my health is showing up. So I would love for you to just kind of give, if you would, just preliminary some background on why what you do is so important to every woman that's listening.
And honestly, the story you just mentioned about yourself sounds like everybody who walks in my door. So
Yeah.
I think especially for, everyone listening, right? We're high achievers. We're driven. We're building things. We have families and relationships and our faith and everything else. And it's so easy to put that health on the back burner and not think about it until we have to think about it. But usually I like to ask the question, what if we did that with our business? What if we did that with every other area of life where we just said, I guess it's fine until it wasn't fine? Like that's what everyone tells us not to do, right? Like you need to be preventative about this for your business and think about this for your taxes, but we're still not doing that for our health. We're still waiting. And I think for a lot of us, it's because there's so much information out there, right? Like you can search on the internet something as simple as the best diet for someone dealing with perimenopause, and 1,000 different things will come up, and it's almost information overload. So we just are like, nope, we don't have time for that. Let's ignore it. But really I do what I do because I want to show women it's not that complicated. What it really just requires is a mindset shift on how we look at health. There is no one size fits all. We really have to figure out how you are wired individually, and then the rest is a piece of cake. It's very simple, but until we can help you understand that you're an individual person and we have to take your lifestyle, your business, your thoughts into account when we design a health plan, then it becomes very simple to see the daily strategies that we have to take to get you feeling really good.
Okay. I'm going to make this real practical now. This is so good. This is so good. Because I'll tell you, until about 2 years ago, mindset was for me like a yeah, yeah, yeah. That's nice
Mhm.
as well, but I don't need that, right? But you
Yep.
said a mouthful right there. You said that you need to understand your client's lifestyle, what their business entails, and their thoughts. And I'm really want to land on thoughts because that mindset piece is ginormous. So, how do you even begin to, what questions do you ask your clients to kind of probe into them? Because it's going to be, I think, a matter of awareness for them in a level that they may not have even realized.
Absolutely. And I'm sure my initial intake and visit looks very different than what people are used to at a typical doctor's office because we are spending so much time on that. But I'm sure some of your audience can relate to this is so many women, when they start talking about something with their health, and we start going below surface level and asking some of those deeper questions, things like, well, why do you want to feel better? Why do you want to release the weight? Why do you want to do this? All of a sudden, all these emotions come up, right? And a lot of women get very emotional, and there's tears and there's discomfort. And that is so relevant to health. And if we leave that out of it, we're never going to get those goals that we want to get to. And we have to understand, why are we feeling this way? Why are we thinking about it this way? Like, where's the real underlying cause, whether that is emotional, whether that is something in terms of biochemistry, whether that is an infection, but they're all relevant and they're all very closely tied together. And I think for a lot of driven women, the first thing when they hear mindset, they think of, oh, right, get my mind right for the day. I'm going to do my mindset work. Check, done on my checklist for the day. Off I go. But that's really not what it is. Like the mindset piece is the intention behind all of this. So if you have a health goal, if you want to feel really good, why and what will that feel like? Because for people to stick to a health plan of any sort, whether it's a nutrition plan or something else, you have to already embody who you want to be at the end of it. You have to be her every single day. That's what makes the action steps easy. Maybe, I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone, they're like, I know exactly what I need to be doing for my health, but I'm just not doing it because it's the old version of them trying to do things for this other version that they're not stepping into. And like, that's where the mindset piece really comes in.
That is so analogous to the work I do. It's like, okay, wait, so you're telling me that you want to scale to that next level, but yet you want to keep acting like how you are right now. Like you realize you can't be this one woman or two woman or even three woman operation given the vision that you have, but yet you're trying to get there with what you've already done. So wow, I mean, I totally know exactly what you're talking about. Let's talk about root cause, because you alluded to that just a few moments ago. Like I want to give you this brief example. Years ago, I had oh gosh, what is that called? Lyme disease.
Okay.
And I had to literally go through 3 regimens of antibiotics because my joints felt so horrible, so stiff and they hurt. And I remember the doc saying, Judy, at this point, I'm not sure if this is really Lyme, but if this doesn't do it, another round of antibiotics isn't going to do it. So at the time I was going through a rough time with my then husband. So I'm wondering, like, is that what we would do with you? Like to say, okay, I wonder, you're telling me you have stiff joints, but you're telling me you're tired, but tell me what else is going on in your life in order to discover the root cause.
Absolutely. And like, I think to use a specific example that I think people listening will resonate with, like, let's talk about some of the symptoms people experience when they have a lot of stress, right? Like you may walk into the doctor and be like, Doc, I'm not sleeping. Like I'm gaining weight. Like I don't feel good. I'm tired all the time. And like a typical response may be like, here's a sleeping pill. Here's an antidepressant, like eat less and exercise more. And the reality is we know none of those things necessarily work long-term for anyone. And they may not work the same for everybody. But if we're going to see what the root cause is, it's okay, I don't want to just give you something to make you sleep better and to feel more energy. I want to know why you're not feeling them in the first place. Like maybe we're going to do some rapid relief thing because we all feel better with a good night's sleep. But I want to dive in and see what's causing you to not sleep. Is that emotional stress? Like, are you going through relationship issues? Are you in a big growth period of personal growth and you're uncomfortable and you're not having an outlet to talk to? Is it something with your hormones? Or as women, are we in a stage of perimenopause or menopause where our hormones are coming into play? Or are we so stressed out that our stress hormones are out of whack and are impacting our sleep? So when we talk about root causes, it's really digging deep and seeing, okay, what are all the possible things going on in our body, in our mind, in our environment that are all coming together to create the perfect storm that's giving us our current symptoms? So that's a little bit of a different approach than, oh, you have these symptoms, here's things to get rid of symptoms. That can feel good at first, but if we don't fix the things that are causing it, they're eventually going to come back.
This is so good. All right, so I want to talk about the 4 buckets, if you will, the 4 aspects of health that I know you cover on your website. And I just want to list those and then we're going to dive into each one. Okay. Nutrition. That I think is a given. Labs. Now that's something that I wouldn't have thought of. So I want to talk about that. And then movement. We know we all need to move our bodies. And then resilience. I love that word. Okay. So
Powerful word.
it is a powerful word. Okay. So nutrition. You mentioned about metabolism and performance and how nutrition is at the root of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think a lot of us, when we think about nutrition, we think, what diet are we eating, right? Like, what are the calories we're eating? What's our nutrition for the day? Are we getting protein? Things like that. That's a small piece of it. The other side of that is, what are the quality of all the foods you're eating? Foods are more than just calories. So are these foods that are really serving a purpose for our day-to-day life? Are they supporting our brain and all the things we want to do? Are they supporting energy levels? Are they paired with our workouts? A lot of busy women forget to eat half the time. And the reality is, when we're putting all of these big energy demands on ourselves, we're running a business, we're picking kids up from school, we're doing all of these things. You can't do that with no energetic supply coming in. So we need to increase the supply, and we want really good fuel coming in to meet that demand. And the reality is, for women, like, nutrition also should reflect what's going on with our hormones. We're very different. We probably shouldn't eat the exact same way as men because we're different people every day throughout the month. So nutrition is looking at all of these different things and figuring out, all right, for each woman sitting here, what are the best foods, the best things that are going to support her lifestyle, her level of busyness, the demands on her during the day, her workouts. And you eventually, you hit it because you wake up every day feeling really good, which I know sounds like a foreign concept to some people, but it's possible once you find the right key for you.
Wow, that is so good. So as you work with your clients, I'm curious, do you actually go to the degree of here is like a menu, like a daily or weekly or monthly menu that you would suggest based upon their metabolism and their lifestyle?
Yeah, so we do a few things, and this kind of ties into the second bucket, which is labs. Is first of all, we figure out for each person, what are the foods that are that person's unique superfoods? Which are the ones that are really not serving them well? Does this person tend to do better? Like, are they carbohydrate driven versus fat driven? So that we can figure out what the right ratios of all these nutrients are from the sciencey side. That way it takes everything off of your plate and you just have to worry about eating foods you like. Some clients like to see something specific, like give me some sample meal plans, things like that. I do have a couple of like registered dietitians who will help out with that as well. Some people prefer just to know, like, give me the foods that I should be eating and let me figure it out. So some of it depends totally on lifestyle and personal preference.
Okay, I love it. And so labs, yeah. So that would be like if your lab reveals that your cholesterol is high, then it's easy for you to say, okay, you got to eat less of this and more of that, right?
Yes and no. Like,
Oh,
labs, the thing that I love talking to women about labs is they can actually be much more nuanced than we think. Like, most of us get this very basic lab panel, which serves a purpose. It lets us know if anything major is going on. Like, is our thyroid working? Check. What's our cholesterol levels like? Check. Do we have anemia? No. Awesome. But a lot of women will do that and they'll be like, yeah, my labs are normal, but I still don't feel good. Like, I'm not sleeping. I don't have energy. I'm bloated all the time. And that's when we decide to dive a little deeper. So I also offer a lot of they're called functional labs with my clients. A lot of these are tests that can be done in the comfort of your own home, but it lets us look at different things than we can see in just a sample blood draw. It lets us look at those hormones. It lets us analyze your gut microbiome. So all the little bugs that live inside our digestive system. That's what lets us see, like, what's going on in there. What kind of foods are really serving you well, so we can keep that nice and balanced, because the gut is the foundation of all health. It lets us look at literally your DNA and lets us see how you're wired. Are you wired to work more in the morning or night? Are you doing better with carbohydrates or fat? So these tests, basically, when we're talking about really reaching peak performance, they let us see how your unique physiology really works. And we can't get that in a traditional blood test. So that's kind of the value of that for the woman who's like, oh, I really want to go to that next level. Like, I'm tired of experimenting. I want to know exactly what works for me. And when
wow.
you're ready to take that step, it just streamlines the process. It lets us jump in with all this information that we're not guessing with, so that you feel better faster.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's ultra personalized, like true concierge level, which is what you're all about. So yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
hyper personalized. There's nothing cookie cutter about it. It's really geared around what's going on in your body literally right now. And
Mm.
that's the only way that we're really going to get you to where you want to go.
Wow, so good, so good. All right, how about the next bucket, number three, movement? What do you do there? Like, and I'm just laughing as I'm thinking about it because in my 20s, I loved clubbing. I would go out 4 or 5 nights a week. I worked hard and
Yeah.
I played hard. So I worked
Yeah.
hard and then I'd go out and dance my butt off. Well, I don't do that at this age. So how do you determine how we should be moving our bodies?
And that's really what I like about these different buckets of health, is they all feed into each other, right? So when we're deciding like, okay, what kind of workouts are best for you? What kind of movement is best for you? We start with a more basic level of just movement because especially in recent years, now a lot of us, we work remotely, which is great, but we also find ourselves at a desk for like 12 hours a day very easily. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I haven't gotten up today. So it's some of it is about incorporating just low levels of movement throughout the day. And this may mean doing like an ergonomic assessment of what's your home office like. Like maybe we need to look at a sit to stand desk or a mini treadmill under your desk or a pedal bike or something that you just get some movement. Because also in your business, when you're feeling a lot of blocks, like, oh, I'm just trying to create something, I have a mental block, the tendency is to try and sit there and work harder. But really, if you move, that movement is better for you than just sitting there from more than just your physiology. It's also just moving energy through. So maybe it's incorporating like walks in your day where you do some of that brainstorming and creativity, because that movement is going to bring more blood flow to your brain. The neurochemistry that happens helps with business creativity. So that's one side of it. The other side is, all right, well, what workouts from a more exercise standpoint are best for you given your health and your health goals? So for example, if you're coming to me and you're like, I feel really good, but like I just want to change my body composition a little bit, something like that. Those workouts are going to look very different than the woman who's like, I am on the verge of burning out. I am not sleeping. I am so stressed. Like they will not have the same movement plan because intense exercise is also a stressor. So we have to think about your stress levels when we're looking at adding that in as well. So even the movement piece, while there's some general principles, which is moving your body every day is generally better than not moving your body, how we move our body, we can also tweak that and fine tune it to help you reach your goals as well.
Wow, that's so good. I mean, this is all just intriguing, and I know I know I need it. I'm just like, wow, where do I begin? Okay, the fourth bucket is resilience, and I am resilient, and I know my listeners are resilient, but this is about handling stress more efficiently. And the really intriguing thing for me was you said slowing the aging process. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big word of the fan anti-aging because we're always going to be aging, but we can age well. We can age strong. We can age in a way that is very empowered and that we're feeling really good. Um, and that's very much tied into stress and stress on our body. And we're talking about resilience. I think there's one of two ways to get there. One is like, how many times can I just get thrown into a brick wall and pick myself up, which like is not the ideal way to get there. The other one is our perception of stress. And I know this sounds like a little woo-woo. We've all had those days where we're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. What am I going to do? But the reality is when we look at the actual science behind it and we see when doctors tell people that you have to control your stress, stress is going to kill you. Or when people say, oh, I'm so stressed out, it's aging me, it's going to kill me. It's actually more likely to happen. You're more likely to get chronic health issues, to have a lower life expectancy if you are told and if you tell yourself that your stress is going to do that to you. So first and foremost, we got to stop doing that. Obviously, that's something we can control. And really, it's looking at stress as, okay, this is difficult, this is challenging, but what's the positive side of it? Like, what can I take away from this? How is this helping to stretch me, to grow, to build me into a bigger person? There's a great TED talk on it. I cannot for the life of me remember her name, but it's called The Upside of Stress. And that's like a life-changing concept, is that we can literally change how our body responds to stress by controlling how we perceive it. And that's something that we can do for free. We can do it with our own brain and we can do it every day. It takes some practice. I mean, I like to talk to people when they tell me, they're like, I get this email at work or I get this message and all of a sudden my heart rate's increasing and I'm panicking and then I'm tired. It means you're in this like exaggerated stress response all the time. And we got to get you out of that first. And that comes with practicing and recognizing it and being able to sit with that stress and ask yourself those questions. From a more functional health perspective, that's also where we talk about things like breath work, like some of the biohacking tools like saunas and cryotherapy and even IVs, things that help build that resilience while we're working on the mental aspect of it.
It's so, isn't it interesting? our brain can either help us or we can tear ourselves down or build ourselves up just with our thoughts.
Literally, and it's we don't think about it enough. Like, I feel like sometimes in health, we've been very disconnected from our bodies. And when we think about our hormones, we jump to our reproductive system, and we think about, our energy levels. We jump to the food we're eating, and we forget that the brain is really controlling all of these things. But once we recognize that, it can be very empowering to know, like, oh, I actually do have to change my thoughts. I mean, we've all been in a conversation with someone who's super negative, and at one point we all step back and be like, gosh, I have to stop talking to this person because I just feel horrible. And
Yeah.
we see it in lab studies. We see when we think things, there's different hormonal cascades that are changed, that are impacted. So that can be a very empowering thing once you realize that. And especially for women, when it comes to their health, a lot of times it's our own thought processes, our own mental blocks that are getting in our way of, like we talked about earlier, really embodying that person who we want to be.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I love scripture when God said, as a man thinketh, so is he, and that we are to hold every thought captive as unto Christ. So I always say, if it's any thought that doesn't serve us, that harms us, it's of the enemy. So we just got to flatly reject it and say, no, that's a bad thought. I'm not going to do it. The devil won't win today. So sometimes it's just being aware of even those whispers that are getting in and through into our brain. So, wow, so good. All right, so I want to end with just some simple examples of like easy, sustainable changes that could have like really big results.
Yeah, the first one is going to sound so simple, you're going to laugh, but I promise if you all do it, it's going to impact many things in your life. And that's, if you are a coffee drinker, like you are running to the coffee pot in the morning, I want you to stick a big glass in front of the coffee pot the night before to remind you to just drink a glass of water when you wake up. If you've been dehydrating all night, I am a coffee lover as well, but the last thing we need is to further dehydrate ourselves and get jitters and all this other stuff going on. So drink a big glass of water in the morning. Like, it has so many good health impacts. It's so simple, and you're stacking it with a habit most of you probably already do, which is your morning cup of coffee. So that's number one. Very simple.
Great. That is so doable. Okay, done. What else? This is good.
Drink a glass of water for sure. Number two actually has to do with going outside and getting in the sun. A lot of us, again, we're inside with desks all day. We don't think about it. Maybe we get outside on the weekends, and a lot of times we're at like kids' sports, things like that. But really, especially if you're someone who has like issues with your energy level throughout the day, if you have trouble getting up in the morning, if you have trouble sleeping, strategic timed sunlight exposure, 5 minutes is all you need. Within an hour of waking up, lunchtime, and around sunset, those are cues that we literally are wired to respond to for our circadian rhythm. And if you do that consistently, not only does it feel good to go outside and get a nice blast of fresh air and sunshine, but it's going to help with cortisol, your stress hormone. It's going to help you get the signal to make melatonin at night to go to sleep, and it's free. So I love that one for people. Get outside 3 times a day. It also means you're getting up away from your desk and moving around. You're taking some deep breaths. You're getting a little grounding outside. So it's very simple for most people to do. And you get a lot of health benefits from it. So that's my second favorite one.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow. So good. All right. Well, as we're wrapping up, before we announce our little freebie that you're making available to my audience, thank you for that. Is there anything on your heart that you would want to emphasize, or anything we haven't touched on that you really want to make sure the listeners hear today?
Yeah, the last thing I would say, like the last food for thought that I want you to take away is, especially as women, I think when it comes to our health, when it comes to how we feel, when it comes to looking a certain way, we have a lot of unlearning to do still. But I just want you to remember, like, everything you have to feel really good, you already have that inside. It's in your biology. You literally just have to unlock it and let it come be your norm. And you're not going to find that from external validation. You're not going to find it with a fad diet. You really have to just take a minute and figure out, like, what makes you feel really good. Start taking action on that, and never stop taking action again. So connect with yourself first. And that's going to be the key to really optimal health and feeling really good.
Gosh, I love that. That we really have, God gave us everything we need. We got to get out of our own way, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
absolutely.
That is so good. All right. Well, Dr. Laura has available a 7-day body reset guide for us, and I'd love you to tell the ladies about that, and I'll make sure I have the link for it in the show notes.
Yeah. So the 7-day body reset was created basically for the busy woman who's like, okay, I want to start looking at some of these habits and feeling better, but I don't know where to start. And I like don't have the time to figure it out. So basically over the course of 7 days, you get this nice big ebook at the beginning that lays out kind of the things we're going to look at. And then for 7 days, you're going to get an email which just has a daily prompt for this is what you need to focus on today. One action step per day, whether it's your nutrition, whether it's sleeping, whether it's at looking at your environment, looking at your personal care products, things like that. One focus point to take out of your day, and each day builds on the next. So that at the end of 7 days, you understand some of these areas to start looking into and you've gotten to experiment with them.
Very good. All right. I can't wait. I'm going to definitely sign up for that myself. That sounds really great. All right. Where is the best place for us to find you online?
Yeah, I am most active on Instagram or Facebook under my name, Dr. Laura DeCesaris. Also my website, drlauradecesaris.com. There's a contact form on there that you can shoot me a note. I love connecting with people, and yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to have all those links in the show notes. And Laura, thank you so much for being here. It has been eye-opening for me, and I can't wait to explore more.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right. Ladies, thank you for listening. And if you've loved this episode, and I'm sure you have, please take a moment, especially if you're on Apple, and leave us a review. We're already in the top 1%. Let's make it in the top like 0.5%. And I need your help to do that. Tell others about this show if you are a regular listener, and show your support again by, sharing it out. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Dr. Laura, and we will see you all next time.